MrYorkieLoverFitness.com. Ladies and gentlemen, the first man to build 21-inch biceps, drug-free.
Hello, my friends. I'm doing this video on one of the most incredible humans, which I consider incredible under the circumstances, is Arnold Schwarzenegger. My journey with Arnold goes back to before he was anybody, before he made any movies or anything. And he looked up to me because the first man had a 21-inch arm. And it was so fascinating simply because I didn't want to be bothered. Joe Weed had told me that he wanted me because Joe had saw the potential in him. He was fooling around with some bodybuilding contests in Austria and so forth. And Joe saw the potential. Joe Weeder, the publisher of the magazine, saw the potential in Arnold, and he wanted me, and Arnold wanted to meet me. Now, at that time, Arnold was nobody. He didn't have to make a movie, didn't do anything to speak of. And so, as so many bodybuilders are coming into my store in New York, I didn't want to be bothered. So Joe's secretary called me, Joe said, when can you meet Arnold? I said, well, let him come by the store and we talk. Right, Arnold, big deal. So Joe said, no, he wants to come to your house. That's what I said, to my house. You got to be kidding me. I said, okay, all right. Let him come to my house. He was nobody then. Go to my website, LeroyColbert.com, and you'll see when he was very young, he looked up to me, he was kissing at me and everything because he admires achievement. So he would be talking about his aspirations and what he was going to do and how he was going to be the best bodybuilder in the world. And, I'm a pretty big skeptic, and I laughed. I said, yeah, sure, the best bodybuilder in the world. I'm very confrontational when it comes to sport. I'm not an acceptor. And what fascinated me by Arnold is when he came to my house for dinner, you would think it was his house and not mine. Sure, any kind of, special, hey, Leroy, I'm a big man at that time. But what I respect about Arnold, and we used to have heated conversations, philosophical conversations. If you see some of the pictures on my website, you'll see how much he respected me because I didn't allow him to bamboozle. Arnold is a psychological bamboozler. But you know something, my friends? He's not somebody with ambition and no ability. He has it all. I never dreamed he would reach the height that he had made. Because you know what? I'm telling you as a friend, because I'm not one of those promoters. I don't go around, it's not my nature. I'm laid back. But you don't piss in my face and tell me it's raining. I don't care who the hell you are. If you're somebody, you got to know more than me. Like you take computers. I'm not into computers. I'll listen to somebody's computers. But when you talk about life, how you look at life and so forth, you don't bamboozle me. But in any case, I know it sounds stupid because here's Arnold's worth a fortune. And I made some money, but not even approaching what he's made. Not even approaching. And I saw him, because I haven't spoken to Arnold in a while, a few years, personally. And he looked frail. And I said, my God, I'm almost 20 years older than he is. And he looked, but you see, his life was so encompassing. He did so much. And fascinating thing, my friends? When I see him and I see how much frailer he looks, and it's so hard for me to comprehend what a fantastic human being he is. He is phenomenal. I respect him to the highest. But the reason why he got along with me so well and we did philosophy so well, because he couldn't bullshit me. Arnold is the type of guy that he thinks that he's smarter asleep than you are awake. It's his nature. And his nature is to move ahead. Arnold's been moving ahead because when he talked about bodybuilding, at that point, that's where he was. I mean, he'd put a little light stuff, that's where he was. Never dreaming that he would become the governor of the state. But I felt what I'm talking about is steroids and what it do to you, what it did to his heart. Now, let me tell you something, my friend. I don't have any, I'm not sitting there being pitiful. Oh, Arnold, poor Arnold. No. Arnold's phenomenal. If I lived 300 years, I wouldn't do what he done, because it's not my nature. My nature is to give. My nature is to serve, not like a Salvation Army guy out there handing out pamphlets, but I'm a guy that just didn't have the ambition, and it just was my nature to do what Arnold's doing. But the thing that bothered me, I got to get in touch with him. He changed his number so many times, though. The thing that bothered me the most about him was to see the deterioration at his age. I'm almost 20 years older than him. And I just didn't like what I saw, And I realized that because he had a couple of heart problems, those steroids get to your heart. That's what killed these fellows. That's what aged them before their time. And I sit back and I look at my life and I say, I never took any of those drugs. And I didn't take the drugs because they weren't there. I got hurt before the drugs became the thing. And I say to myself, the reason I'm here able to talk to you at my age, relate to you about all of the history of bodybuilding is because I didn't allow myself to be overwhelmed with the drugs. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here, not by a long shot, saying, poor Arnold. I mean, if Arnold, how much more are you going to do in life than what he's done? I just feel bad that his body's beginning to pay, or to start paying earlier, but it's paying more as he got older because he's only 60, he's not even 70 yet. And I see that how much more frail he's looking. And Arnold has such a tremendous ego. I talked to one of his doubles about 3 years ago, and he said then, and Arnold was, maybe in his 60s, and Arnold was getting depressed by the deterioration of his body, And so I'm writing this to tell you, with all of the greatness of Arnold Schwarzenegger, a lot of it was tampered by steroids. And he was using the steroids, my friend, before they weren't scientifically put together like they are today. What they have today is unbelievable. Arnold had the basic stuff, but it still affected his heart. Gave him a problem. So I'm doing this video only because I tell you, I have such a fond feeling for Arnold. Now, if you got any idea that I'm just bullshitting you, it's very few people had the connection that Arnold and I had. Very few people. Because Arnold is a philosopher. And if you sit back and let Arnold dictate, that's just what he'll do. But if you look at my website, LeroyColbert.com, You see the pictures of her. You see one picture of Arnold kissing up at me because he see you don't stroke Leroy. You don't piss in my face and tell me it's raining. You could do that to Tom, Dick, and Harry. And most people, that 99.9% of the people that know Arnold know what they read. They don't have that close philosophical connection with him that I have. And that I'm proud that I've had it. And I'm proud of him. And I'm so happy that I met him on the uptake. Not once he was there, on the uptake. Watch him grow. And see, because I knew from the beginning, see, I'm the type of guy, my friends, I zero in on your ass. As soon as I met Arnold, I knew right away, I said, Arnold's the guy I want to dominate. He'll dominate me. And you know what's funny? He appreciates it. We had great conversations on life. I mean, I could write a whole lot about him. But the reason I'm talking to you about him, because I felt a little bad. I really shouldn't. I mean, you know, I said, Jesus, my friend Arnold, but Arnold don't have to do anything. If I live 300 years, I want to accomplish what he's done. But I'm just doing this because I want to tell you, my friends, and especially, you see, especially you young guys, you see, because I grew up too. Don't think for once that you're talking to an old guy. No. I started when I was 10. I know how your mind and everything changes as you get older. You think you're omnipotent. But you know, I'm going to tell you something, my friends. The body doesn't forget. You abuse it today, you pay tomorrow. And a lot of all the guys that grew up much earlier than me, younger than me, they're dead. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to sit here and be talking to you 5 years from now. I could drop dead after I finish talking to you. But the point is, all of those fellas that were loading up on those drugs for the moment paid dearly in their lives. They expired much earlier than they should have. But I'm doing this video only because I see the deterioration of Arnold physically, and I feel a little bad about it. But don't get me wrong now. I want you to say to me, I don't feel sorry for Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, there's no sorry there. It's just that I hate to see, well, I mean, yeah, I hate to see the prices they're beginning to pay, because Arnold's not a give up. Arnold's a go ahead man. But he's beginning to pay. I see it in his body, and I see it in him. And I think the world of him. Let me tell you, the world of him as a man. Because as I said earlier, I grew up with him. I cultivated. I mean, we didn't go out drinking and having beers and all that kind of stuff. We didn't do that. We philosophized. And if you look at the pictures on my website, LeroyColbert.com, and you see the warmth that Arnold had for me. To be continued, my friends. And I'm only doing this video because I felt bad. I haven't talked to Arnold in a couple of years, 2-3 years. They were making all kinds of tales about Arnold this and Arnold that, you know. And Arnold, of course, is in another stratosphere, another world. I mean, I can't sit there and talk to Arnold. Arnold misplaced more money in a minute than I ever had, you know. But philosophically, you guys sitting back there, Arnold this, Arnold that, Arnold this, Arnold that. All you know about Arnold is what you see. But I know from the heart the type of man he is. So my friends, I'm not going to talk any longer because people don't have that much attention span. But the people that are interested will listen. To be continued. Now go to LeroyColbert.com. That's my website. You see all the pictures of Arnold. And then go to MrYorkieLover.com where the website is. To be continued, my friends.
Wait a minute. Before you click away, I want you to subscribe, Like, comment, hell, even dislike if you want to. At least do something before you get out of here.